Today, we're going to take a look at mastering, or more specifically, online mastering. There's been a lot of buzz lately about online mastering services, but how good are they really, and do they stand up to a master done by a real human being? Keep on watching and you'll find out. Mastering can be a dreadful experience, especially if you're a beginner and you don't know much about it. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't have the necessary experience, then the chances are you'll just end up making it sound worse instead. If you don't really know what mastering is, you should check out my Mixing and Mastering Explained video and then come back to this video afterwards. The link is in the description below. There's a lot of things to take into consideration when mastering. First of all, you need to be aware that your room will affect the sound, and using headphones is not ideal either. This makes it difficult to get a master that sounds good on most systems. Getting the level just right can also be difficult, because the various streaming platforms now operate with different loudness targets. To make it even worse, there's things such as intersample peaks to worry about too. This is usually the reason why your music tends to sound so bad on SoundCloud, for example. You don't want to master your sound too compressed, nor do you want it to be too quiet compared to the other commercial tracks. Another thing to consider is the fact that a lot of professional producers actually tend to let a mastering engineer master their tracks for them. Not because they don't know how to master, but because it's often considered a bad idea to master your own stuff. This has to do with the fact that you tend to become immune to your track after having worked on it for so long. This will cloud your judgment and make it difficult to make a good and objective master. No amount of mastering can save a bad mix, but a good engineer can often do wonders with a decent mix. The downside of this, of course, is that it's quite expensive. There is a second option, though: online mastering. The way this works is that you simply upload your track and it will be mastered in seconds. Then you get to download your mastered track almost right away. This sounds almost too good to be true, right? Could this actually work? Well, let's find out. There's a few online mastering services out there. One that's gotten very good reviews so far is eMastered. eMastered is an online mastering service founded by Grammy-winning engineers such as Colin McLaughlin. These guys are highly experienced musicians who really know their stuff. They are passionate music enthusiasts just like you and me, and they know exactly how a polished mix is supposed to sound like. Here's some of the artists they've been working with. So let's go ahead and do some testing. When you go to the eMastered webpage, this is what you'll see. Mastering a track is easy. You just drag and drop it here, and it will be mastered for you. Note that I'm already logged in now. So let's try this out. I'm going to use one of my own tracks for this so that we can compare how eMastered compares to my own master. Simply take the unmastered file and drop it here. Make sure you follow their instructions. Always leave enough headroom and so on. After it's uploaded, it will automatically be mastered. When it's done, you'll be asked if you want to add it to your library. I recommend you click Yes here. The library is quite a useful feature, and I will be talking more about that later. But for now, let's focus on the mastering. As you can see, it's now displaying a preview of the mastered version. You can switch between them like this to hear the difference. Quite useful. To download your mastered file, click here, and then select your desired format. Now let's import the unmastered version, the one I mastered myself and the one mastered by eMastered, so that we can take a closer look at the differences.
So helplessly now, think you know me, you've been blinded, it's all untrue. I am barefoot, naked, fighting fire with gasoline, burning desire, adrenaline.
Okay, so I can immediately tell that in terms of volume, they are sitting very close to the same level. Although this is an old track, I do remember that I was going for a dynamic master for various reasons. Not all tracks will sound great when compressed too much, and it seems the engine has done a fine job at applying just the right amount of compression to it. I also remember using saturation, warm tape effects, stereo spread, and so on in my mastered version, and it seems that the service has applied a certain amount of these effects as well, which becomes obvious when compared to the unmastered version. The most noticeable difference is the EQing, especially in the lower mids. You can hear the difference in the pads especially, and slightly in the highs as well, but the difference is rather subtle.
Battlefield, the war is raging on. There will be casualties for every heart we break. On the battlefield.
I'm really not quite sure which version I like the best, which is rather surprising. I remember spending hours mastering this track, and eMastered made a master that sounds just as good in a matter of seconds. Let's test it with something very different. Here's the breakdown of a trance track I've been working on. This kind of genre requires very different processing. Let's see how it fares with this material. We'll upload the unmastered version and let it do its thing again. Okay, as you can hear, it did a very good job at interpreting the content and making the right adjustments. It's increased the highs and ironed out some of the muffled frequencies in the 300 to 500 Hz area, which actually makes it sound much better. Once again, in terms of loudness, it's very similar to my own master, which is how I wanted it. This track got a lot more compression, as you can see from both waveforms. It processed this one quite differently. Now, before we move on, I just want to go over the library feature real quick. Once you've added your tracks to the library, they will be saved there, and you can now upload some cover art or even make an album. You can also share some tracks on your public page if you want. This can be quite useful, and I'm told that even more features will be added in the next major update to the service. So, what do I think about eMastered so far? Well, I have to say I was skeptical at first. But after extensive testing, I have to say that I'm really quite impressed by this engine, and I'm not just saying that. Sometimes my own master seems to be a little bit louder, but then other times the eMastered version seems to sound more open and balanced compared to my own master, so I'd have to say it's a draw. I realize some people might have trouble accepting that a computer is going to make all the decisions. Not everyone likes being out of the loop, so to speak. However, the results speak for themselves. This is definitely a good option for beginners who don't know much about mastering, as well as professionals who want to save some time. But exactly how does this work? What's really going on behind the scenes? I know a lot of people want to know, and I certainly did, so I had to ask. I had the pleasure of speaking with one of the owners of eMastered, and although they won't reveal exactly how it works, I was able to obtain some useful information. The service depends on machine learning to make the right call. It's a form of artificial intelligence. Thousands of professional tracks are scanned and analyzed, and the engine learns how they were mastered. And it's using this knowledge to make the right decision after analyzing your track. It's capable of recognizing what kind of music it's dealing with based on the structure of the track, the sonic content, and so on. This allows it to make the right adjustments. It will compare your track to other commercial tracks and make sure that it's processed in such a way that it can compete with them. For example, if you upload a track with way too much bass, it's smart enough to figure this out and lower the low end accordingly. It is also capable of determining what kind of genre your music is. This is very important, as some genres require a dynamic master, while others require the content to be somewhat squashed. During my testing, I tried feeding it a lot of different material, and it seems to make the right call every time. After the engine has determined the genre, it will apply the usual mastering tools such as EQ, saturation, stereo imaging, compression, limiting, and so on. Whatever the track needs, it will add, and whatever there's too much of, it will remove. If you're on a budget, then this is definitely a good alternative to using a mastering engineer. A good mastering engineer might be able to squeeze out those remaining few percent and get your track all the way to 100%, but considering how affordable the service is and how fast and simple it is, it's definitely worth trying out. You can pay per track, or you can sign up for a subscription, which will give you a discount depending on the plan you go for. If you want to try this out for yourself, then just click the link below. Now, I have to be honest, this is an affiliate link which they kindly provided me with. This means that you'll be supporting my channel if you use it. That way I'll be able to make more tutorials for you guys, and you'll get affordable quality mastering. Everyone wins. I, for one, was both surprised and impressed by the results, and I'm not just saying that because they provided me with the affiliate link. Those of you who subscribe to me know that I offer my own mastering service on Fiverr, so it really wouldn't make any sense for me to recommend a competing service unless it's a worthy alternative. I always try to be honest, and I never hold back on anything in my videos. As a producer, I'm gladly sharing all my secrets in my tutorials. I would never recommend anything that I couldn't stand behind 100%. I really do think this service is solid, and I think it can help a lot of you get good masters inexpensively. I get asked about mastering all the time, and I will be making a video about it eventually. Keep in mind, though, that even if I show you what plugins to use and so on, doesn't mean that you will instantly be good at mastering. It will require a great deal of experience and trial and error. I do encourage you to practice, of course, but in the meantime, until you get really good at it, why not let someone else take care of the mastering? That way you can focus on your mix instead. Thanks to its machine learning and clever algorithms, the eMastered engine is able to rely on experience from tens of thousands of tracks. That kind of referencing is beyond what any human can ever hope to achieve. So head over there and try it out. Upload a track and hear the difference. I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised, just like I was. I hope you liked this video. I would like to take the time to thank my Patreons for their ongoing support. If you would like to help support this channel, then feel free to visit our Patreon page. You can find the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and as usual, if there's any tutorial you'd like us to make, or if you have a question, then just leave a comment below. Have a great day.